The human mind is trained to resist what it cannot explain. For centuries, every time something new appeared in the heavens, it was first labeled an illusion, then a mystery, and only later accepted as truth. Galileo faced condemnation for daring to suggest the Earth revolved around the Sun. Edmund Halley was ridiculed when he predicted that comets returned in cycles. And in 2017, when Oumuamua sailed past us with its strange acceleration, most scientists quickly dismissed it as just a rock, even when Harvard's Avi Loeb insisted otherwise. Now, with 3I Atlas, the cycle repeats. First disbelief, then confusion, and eventually an uncomfortable acceptance that the impossible may be happening right above our heads. But unlike before, this one feels different. It isn't just the shedding of nickel. It isn't just the rhythmic pulses or the early activation beyond Jupiter. It's the way it aligns perfectly with ancient prophecies that warned us of a celestial messenger, an impossible traveler that would arrive in humanity's hour of greatest vulnerability. Nostradamus described it as the metallic comet that awakens fears and reveals truths. Baba Vanga called it the star that tests mankind. The Mayan prophecies hinted at a third traveler from beyond, arriving after two predecessors. And sure enough, Oumuamua and Borisov were the first two. Now comes the third, 3I Atlas. The pattern is undeniable. The unsettling detail most don't know is that this object wasn't discovered when it entered the solar system. It was always there, faintly visible in old astronomical data, like a ghost hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to be noticed. And isn't that what prophecy says, that the sign will only be seen by those ready to look? When the Atlas Survey Telescope re-examined its own frames and found 3I Atlas glowing faintly in the background, it raised a question that no one wants to answer. Why now? Why 2025 in the middle of AI revolutions, political collapses, and climate tipping points? Is it chance or choreography? Think of it. If an advanced intelligence wanted to be noticed, it would not send a radio wave that could be ignored. It would not send a spacecraft that could be mistaken for debris. It would send something unmistakable. A comet, because humanity has always feared comets. A comet, because prophets and scriptures tied them to destiny. But not just any comet. A comet that defies physics, shedding metals that shouldn't exist in such purity, activating far from the sun, pulsing in rhythm as though broadcasting. That is what makes 3I Atlas not just an object, but a performance. A cosmic stage play designed to provoke awe, fear, and the ultimate question: who sent it? The Book of Revelation offers one of the most disturbing parallels. It speaks of the third angel sounding the trumpet, and a star falling from the sky, burning like a torch. Many scholars dismiss this as a myth, but notice the word third. First Oumuamua, second Borisov, third Atlas. And this one doesn't just fall. It burns with a torch of nickel, an element tied to Earth's very core. Could this be the symbolic fulfillment of that scripture? Not in literal destruction, but in the revelation that we are not alone and that our story has been watched for longer than we ever imagined. And yet, there's another layer. Ancient Hindu scriptures speak of the Vimanas, crafts of the gods glowing in the sky, sometimes disguised as stars or comets. The Mahabharata describes a metallic messenger with a blazing tail, crossing worlds. Native American Hopi prophecies warn of the blue star Kachina, a heavenly visitor that would signal the purification of Earth. Different cultures, different centuries, yet all telling the same tale. A visitor from the heavens would appear when mankind has lost its balance. Are we not at that moment now? Wars raging, ecosystems collapsing, machines outthinking their creators, humanity dangling at the edge of its own arrogance. And suddenly, in July 2025, the messenger arrives. Harvard's involvement makes this prophecy more unsettling. When an institution known for skepticism and scientific rigor admits something is impossible, it isn't a casual statement, it's a warning. Avi Loeb and his colleagues hinted that 3I Atlas could represent technology, an artifact or even a probe. But why nickel? Why stream it in massive quantities? In metallurgy, nickel is used to stabilize alloys, to resist corrosion, and to store energy. In magnetic research, it plays a role in resonance and frequency. What if the comet isn't losing nickel at all? What if it's releasing it deliberately, like a beacon, a lighthouse in the void, drawing attention from anyone, anywhere, who understands its language? And if it's a beacon, then it means one thing: someone expects it to be seen. This is where prophecy collides with science in the most terrifying way. Nostradamus warned of a metallic star, revealing the beginning of contact. Baba Vanga said the visitor would bring both fear and knowledge. And modern physicists, studying interstellar probes, admit that the best way to announce presence is not by shouting across the stars with fragile signals, but by leaving behind something durable, undeniable, and visible. That's exactly what 3i Atlas is: a durable, undeniable, visible presence in our sky. If this was intentional, then we're not just looking at a rock. We're looking at a message crafted billions of miles away. But here's where the twist gets darker. What if it's not a message for us? What if it's a message for others? Think carefully. The tail of nickel doesn't just shine toward Earth. It shines across the solar system, across space itself. It could be a galactic signal, a way of saying that here we are, not to us, but to them. If that's true, then 3i Atlas isn't humanity's first contact, it's humanity's announcement. And the question becomes, to whom are we being announced? Now consider this. 2025 has already been a year of turmoil. AI has grown unpredictable, governments fractured, disasters escalated. What if the arrival of 3i Atlas is not just coincidence, but convergence? A synchrony of prophecy and physics designed to remind us that we're part of a larger narrative, that humanity's crises are not isolated events, but part of a cosmic test. Baba Vanga spoke of a time when humanity is watched to see whether it chooses destruction or renewal. The comet, she said, would appear as a silent judge. Could 3i Atlas be that silent judge, arriving not to save us, but to witness what we become? And yet hope still lingers in the mystery. If it is artificial, then it means we are not alone. If it is artificial, it means civilizations survive long enough to cross the stars. And if civilizations survive, then perhaps we can too. Perhaps the shedding of nickel isn't just a signal, but a resource, a gift scattered in space, waiting for us to study, to understand, to use. Nostradamus hinted that the metallic comet would bring both terror and treasure. The treasure may not be gold. It may be knowledge, new physics, a window into technologies that could change everything. But here is the problem. Humanity has never been good at handling revelation. We fear what we cannot control. We weaponize what we do not understand. And as 3i Atlas grows closer, there is no guarantee that its gift, if it is one, won't become our curse. Imagine militaries scrambling to capture its metals. Imagine corporations racing to exploit its mystery. Imagine governments twisting its meaning into propaganda. The comet may not destroy us, but what we do with its presence might. This brings us to the prophecy's sharpest edge. Nostradamus wrote of the great unveiling when mankind divides itself over the sign. Baba Vanga warned of a star that unites the wise and divides the blind. What if the comet itself is not the judgment, but our reaction to it is? If some see fear, others see hope, and others see profit, then humanity fractures further. And in that fracture, the prophecy fulfills itself. Not a star destroying Earth, but Earth destroying itself in response to the star. And still, the greatest question remains unanswered. What if 3i Atlas is alive? Not alive in the way we understand, but as an ancient intelligence, dormant until now, activating as it approaches our system. Some scientists propose self-replicating probes designed to awaken after eons, releasing signals only when encountering a civilization. What if 3i Atlas is such a probe, not here by chance, but by design, choosing this moment, our moment, to reveal itself? And if so, then it means something has been watching us far longer than we realize, waiting for the moment when our choices matter most. So we stand here in 2025, staring at the sky, uncertain whether we are witnesses to a miracle, a warning, or both. The object sheds nickel like a message written in fire. Prophecies across cultures align with uncanny precision. Harvard admits it defies science. And humanity, caught in its chaos, can only watch as the impossible unfolds. The prophets told us to expect a messenger. Science tells us to expect anomalies. Now the two have collided, and the result is 3I Atlas. But here's the twist. If this is the messenger, then the message has not yet been revealed. What happens when it gets closer? What happens when its tail grows brighter? What happens if the rhythm of its shedding turns into a clear pattern, undeniable as a code? Will we understand it in time, or will it pass us by, its meaning lost, its warning unheeded? The cliff we stand upon is not just scientific, it's prophetic. And as we lean forward, staring into the abyss of possibility, one haunting question hangs in the silence of the stars. Is 3I Atlas here to save us, to test us, or to end us? The world has always been haunted by prophecies, ancient whispers carried through scripture, visions and the cryptic words of seers who claim to see far beyond their age. But what if one of those prophecies was unfolding right now, not in temples, not in dusty old manuscripts, but in the silent void of space? What if the impossible sign the prophets spoke of was not fire from the skies or a falling star, but a cosmic traveler doing something no one believed nature itself could do? This is no longer speculation. This is no longer theory. On July 1st, 2025, NASA confirmed the detection of an object entering the inner solar system. But unlike anything we've seen before, it has now forced Harvard, one of the most prestigious institutions on Earth, to issue a chilling warning. 3I Atlas is doing the impossible. The question is, what does this mean for us? And more importantly, was this moment foretold centuries ago? For generations, prophets like Nostradamus, Baba Vanga, and even biblical texts have spoken of the harbinger in the skies, a celestial sign that would separate the old world from the new. Nostradamus wrote of a wandering star with a tail of iron dust, carrying messages of the unknown. Baba Vanga, who foresaw events like 9/11 and the sinking of Kursk, warned of a mysterious object from the heavens arriving in the 21st century, one that would baffle scientists and divide humanity's understanding of reality. And the Book of Revelation itself describes a great star, blazing like a torch, falling from the sky on rivers and seas. For centuries, these were dismissed as poetic metaphors. But what if those words were describing this very moment? What if 3I Atlas is the exact object that merges prophecy with science, forcing us to confront something beyond comprehension? When astronomers first picked it up, 3I Atlas seemed like just another interstellar visitor, similar to the mysterious Oumuamua in 2017 or Borisov in 2019, but almost immediately they realized something was wrong. As it traveled closer to the sun, it began shedding not dust or ice like an ordinary comet, but over 10 pounds of pure nickel every second. Let that sink in. 10 pounds of metal constantly streaming out into space, forming a tail that was unlike anything we had ever documented. Natural comets shed gas, ice and dust, but never a refined heavy element in such precision. It wasn't simply debris, it was nickel in a state so pure that some experts began whispering about metallurgy, a process associated not with nature but with engineering. Could this mean 3I Atlas isn't just a comet at all? Could it be technology? The Atlas Survey Telescope in Chile was the first to truly flag it, though the object had been hiding in plain sight for months, unnoticed, until astronomers rechecked old data frames. When NASA's test satellite later confirmed it beyond Jupiter, already with a glowing tail, questions began to spread like wildfire. How could an object so far away, untouched by significant solar heating, display outgassing and activity that normally occurs only near the sun? It was as though it was alive, as though it was activated. Harvard researchers warned that if this isn't natural, then we may be witnessing the arrival of something intelligently designed, something sending signals across time and space. And this is where the prophecy deepens. Nostradamus once mentioned a sign in the heavens, at first mistaken for a natural star, later revealed as a message. He spoke of it as an omen tied to global unrest, the collapse of false empires, and the beginning of the Great Reckoning. Look at the world in 2025, economic collapse looming, AI advancing faster than governments can regulate, climate chaos, wars, and power struggles tearing nations apart. And right in the middle of all this turmoil, an object arrives that refuses to obey the laws of nature. Is this coincidence? Or has the timeline of prophecy finally converged with our modern age? Baba Vanga gave even sharper hints. She predicted that humanity would one day be visited by a messenger from afar, carrying a warning and a gift. She described it as a metal presence in the heavens, one that would challenge science and shake faith to its core. Some dismissed her words as fantasy, but now as 3i Atlas continues its path past Venus, Mars and Jupiter, shedding metals and acting with precision, those same words feel less like fantasy and more like an encrypted message we were never ready to decode. Harvard's statement didn't use the word alien, but the subtext was undeniable. If this is not natural, then it is engineered. And if it is engineered, then someone or something sent it. Let's pause here. Imagine you are standing on Earth looking up at the night sky, knowing that above you floats not just a rock, not just ice, but potentially a machine, or worse, a message carved into the fabric of the cosmos. Humanity has long fantasized about contact with extraterrestrials, but we always imagined it would come with radio signals, spacecraft, or dramatic landings. What if instead it comes through something far quieter, an interstellar object designed to behave in ways that make no sense, forcing us to notice, forcing us to ask questions, forcing us to wake up? That's what makes 3i Atlas terrifying, because if it's a message, we don't yet know what it's saying. If it's technology, we don't yet know its purpose. And if it's a natural phenomenon, then we've just discovered that the universe is capable of miracles that science cannot yet explain. But here's where the prophecy connection becomes even more chilling. Revelation 8:10 speaks of a star called wormwood falling into waters, making them bitter, poisoning mankind. While many assume this was metaphorical, scholars have long debated whether it referred to an actual celestial event. Could 3i Atlas be the wormwood of our generation, not necessarily as a destroyer, but as a disruptor? And think of Nostradamus again, describing the long-haired star of metal dust, arriving in an age when humanity faces collapse. Or Baba Vanga's vision of the sky revealing its messenger in the age of machines. The alignment is eerie, almost too precise to ignore. It feels as though ancient seers were trying to tell us that when mankind reaches the brink, when we've created AI, when we've tampered with the climate, when we've reached the edge of hubris, a sign will appear above, forcing us to remember that we are not the masters of fate. Now let's dig deeper into the impossible nature of this event. Nickel in its pure form is rare in space. To find a comet shedding it in massive quantities is unheard of. This raises two options. First, it's a natural object, but one formed under conditions so alien that it challenges everything we know about astrophysics. Second, it's artificial, a possibility Harvard's own Avi Loeb, known for his controversial stance on Oumuamua, has strongly hinted at. If 3i Atlas is artificial, then who sent it? Was it a civilization like ours, one that destroyed itself and left behind cosmic artifacts? Or is it a probe from a still-living intelligence, designed to awaken and display its signature at this exact point in history? The shedding of nickel could be fuel, it could be a signal, or terrifyingly, it could be a countdown. And here's the twist most people don't know. NASA's own early data revealed that the nickel stream wasn't random. It was consistent, almost rhythmic, as though pulsing in a pattern. What if that's not outgassing at all, but a form of transmission, a code written in metals instead of sound waves? Think about it. Humanity has always assumed communication would come as radio, but a far older civilization might communicate in ways we can't even comprehend. Nickel could carry magnetic signatures. The tale could itself be a kind of interstellar graffiti, visible not just to us, but to anyone watching across the galaxy. What if 3i Atlas isn't just visiting us, but broadcasting something about us? The most haunting part is the timing. July 2025 isn't random. Baba Vanga specifically mentioned a period between 2023 and 2025 as a turning point when humanity will face its greatest test from above. Nostradamus spoke of the year of great upheaval when the sky will show signs of impossible fire. And what is AI right now if not fire? An uncontrollable force we created, threatening to outpace us. What is climate change if not the fire of Earth itself rebelling? And amidst this, a cosmic object appears, forcing us to look beyond our small crises. Perhaps this is the real message. Perhaps the prophets weren't warning us of doom, but reminding us, you are being watched. And yet there's a darker possibility. What if 3i Atlas is not a messenger of hope, but a harbinger of judgment? Revelation does not paint wormwood as benevolent. Nostradamus often spoke of destruction before renewal. Baba Vanga warned that while the messenger carried a gift, it also carried a test. So the question becomes, what is the test? Are we being observed to see if we destroy ourselves with AI, with war, with greed? Or is the comet itself part of that destruction? Could the nickel streaming be a precursor to a catastrophic event, a destabilization that will eventually affect Earth's magnetic field, or worse, its atmosphere? Scientists will tell you the odds are slim, but prophecy doesn't deal in odds. Prophecy deals in inevitability. As 3i Atlas moves forward, the eyes of the world are upon it. NASA calls it an anomaly. Harvard calls it impossible. Prophets call it destiny. And you, sitting here, listening to these words, are left with the same haunting question that seers have asked for centuries. Is this the sign we were warned about? Or is the real revelation still to come? Because the most chilling part is not what we know, it's what we don't. And as the object sails silently toward us, nickel streaming in a perfect rhythm, the greatest prophecy of all may be about to unfold. The comet's journey has only just begun, yet the air on Earth already feels heavier, as if unseen forces know that something monumental is unfolding. The ancients warned us that the greatest signs would not arrive with trumpet blasts or armies of angels, but in silence, in shadows that drift above us until we are forced to see them. And that is exactly how 3i Atlas has appeared, unannounced, impossible, and undeniable. The Harvard warning was more than a scientific statement. It was a confession. What we are witnessing cannot be explained by the natural laws we thought we understood. And when reality breaks, prophecy steps in to fill the void. For centuries, we have lived with fragments of visions scattered across civilizations. Nostradamus writing in cryptic verses, Baba Vanga whispering riddles of the future, the Hopi elders speaking of the blue star Kachina. Even Islamic traditions speak of the Dabat Alad, a creature or sign that emerges from the earth and sky near the end of days, revealing truths mankind has ignored. Different voices, different times, yet all pointing to the same moment. A celestial sign that arrives when humanity stands on the edge of judgment. The striking truth is this: 3i Atlas is not just a comet. It is a convergence point where history, prophecy, and science overlap in a single blinding intersection. And what is happening with it defies all reason. Nickel is not supposed to stream endlessly from a comet. Rhythmic pulses are not supposed to echo across space in perfect intervals. Yet this is exactly what is happening. Some researchers now suspect the outflow may be encoded, like binary signals carved into the void. Others suggest that the nickel tail itself, stretching like a shining thread across the cosmos, is designed to be visible to civilizations beyond Earth. If so, then 3i Atlas may not be directed at us at all. We may only be bystanders, caught in the path of a conversation between powers far greater than our own. Imagine that for a moment. Earth not as the destination, but as the witness. The prophets, however, saw something else. They described humanity's crisis not as accidental, but as guided, pushed toward a breaking point by forces both seen and unseen. Nostradamus wrote of the iron star whose arrival forces mankind to choose. Baba Vanga warned of a messenger carrying both warning and opportunity, and the Hopi elders said the blue star would mark the moment when humanity must decide whether to walk the path of destruction or the path of renewal. Is that not where we stand right now? AI advancing beyond our control, climate unraveling, nations tearing themselves apart, and now, as if on cue, a cosmic visitor reminding us of our smallness. But here's where the hidden twist lies. For centuries, scholars believed prophecies were about Earth, wars, kings, empires. What if we were wrong? What if the real stage of prophecy has always been the cosmos? The ancients could not explain astrophysics, so they wrote of stars falling, torches blazing, metallic visitors. Perhaps they weren't predicting fantasy at all. Perhaps they were describing, in their limited language, what we are seeing now, an interstellar object engineered to reveal itself only at the appointed time. And that time is ours. Consider the strange rhythm of the nickel shedding. Scientists describe it as pulses, but prophecy describes it as trumpets. The book of Revelation speaks of trumpets announcing the unfolding of destiny. Could these pulses be the trumpets of our age? Not sound waves, but cosmic signals reverberating across space, declaring that the time of silence is over. If so, then 3I Atlas is not merely a comet, it is a declaration, and humanity must decide how to respond. But let us step even deeper into the mystery. Some have speculated that 3I Atlas may be a fragment of something larger, an artifact left behind by a civilization that already faced the same crisis we are facing. What if it is not a messenger, but a relic? A survivor of another world's struggle with technology, war, or hubris, now drifting through space as both warning and proof. If that is true, then its impossible shedding of nickel could be the remains of its purpose, an engine bleeding energy, a storage system unraveling, or a transmission continuing long after its makers vanished. In that case, 3I Atlas isn't just a sign. It's a tombstone of a civilization that once was, showing us what awaits if we repeat their mistakes. And here comes the most chilling question. What if we already have? Look around. Wars ignite over borders and resources. AI threatens to outpace human control. Our climate teeters on the edge of collapse. Prophecy said humanity would be tested. Science now says we are being watched. Is 3I Atlas proof that we are not the first? And if we do not change, we will not be the last to vanish. The message might be simple: learn or perish. Yet woven into every prophecy, there is always the hint of hope. Revelation speaks of a new heaven and new earth after the chaos. Nostradamus wrote of a golden age following great trials. The Hopi elders said the blue star would usher purification, and those who walked the right path would see renewal. Baba Vanga spoke of knowledge from the stars that could save mankind, and here we are, staring at a comet that defies physics, as if daring us to unlock its secrets. Could 3I Atlas be the key to technologies we've only dreamed of? Clean energy, new metals, answers to questions we haven't even asked? Or is the gift hidden within the warning, waiting to see if we are wise enough to recognize it? But humanity has a dark pattern. Every time we've been given power, we've misused it. Fire turned into weapons, nuclear energy turned into bombs, artificial intelligence turned into tools of control. What will we do if 3I Atlas carries secrets greater than all of these? Will we unite and grow or divide and destroy? Prophecy suggests the answer lies not in the comet itself, but in us. We are the variable. We are the test. And the heavens are watching. Now here is where the final twist emerges. Harvard's warning emphasized that 3I Atlas is not behaving like a natural body. Yet buried within their data is something few have discussed publicly. The shedding is accelerating. At first, it was 10 pounds per second. Now, as it moves deeper into the solar system, the rate is increasing, almost as if it is preparing for something. Some suggest it may destabilize, others whisper it could explode. But what if it's not destruction at all? What if the acceleration is the prelude to activation? The ancients wrote of stars awakening in the heavens. Could we be about to witness not a death, but a birth? Imagine then the unthinkable. 3I Atlas is not just a comet, not just a relic, not just a messenger. It is a probe, waiting to come alive, to reveal its true nature as it nears Earth's domain. What would that mean for us? A sign, a test, a warning, and perhaps the first undeniable contact with a mind not born on this world. That would rewrite history, that would fulfill prophecy, that would change humanity forever. And yet prophecy never gives straight answers. It always leaves us with the tension between doom and deliverance. Nostradamus said the metallic star could signal both ruin and renewal. Baba Vanga said it would test mankind's spirit. The Hopi elders said it would divide those who cling to greed from those who choose balance. Revelation said wormwood would poison the waters, but also usher in a new age. So which path will we walk? That is the question 3i Atlas forces us to confront. So as we look to the sky tonight, remember this: you are not just watching a comet, you are watching history, prophecy, and destiny intertwining in the heavens. You are witnessing a sign that scientists call impossible, prophets called inevitable, and humanity must now call undeniable. Harvard's warning was not the end of the story. It was the beginning. And the real message of 3i Atlas may not yet have been revealed. Because here is the greatest cliffhanger of all. What happens when it gets closer? What happens when its signals grow louder, its shedding accelerates, and its true form is revealed? Will it prove to be a relic, a probe, or something even stranger, something alive? Will it deliver knowledge, judgment, or silence? The answer is not yet written. The final prophecy has not yet unfolded. And so we are left, as the prophets warned, staring into the sky, asking the question that will define our future. Is 3i Atlas the messenger of our salvation, or the herald of our end?